I want to jump ahead a little bit. When I was talking to Shay earlier about how excited we were to have you on the show, it's mostly to do with your Snapchat and Instagram and Facebook characters you produce. Like they, again, same age, like the nostalgic stuff you've been doing with the playground and the Rip Curl and the Billabong and the school lunches, and it like speaks to me so strongly. And I was wondering if we could go back to the start and sort of paint the picture from the beginning of Snapchat. I think 2017, when Snapchat vids were like 10 seconds, right? So you created your first one and sort of paint the picture of how things evolved from there.
Probably started about 2016. Everyone had Snapchat for a year or two. I don't know when Snapchat came out, but everyone had it, and I thought it was a bit silly. And then I was like playing with it on someone's phone, and then I was like, oh, there's something in this. And then I downloaded it onto my phone and started just making little 10-second videos and just sharing, not doing anything with them. And then for some reason I started putting them on my Facebook page. And I did that for like 6 months or something. And then it was getting towards my agent at the time suggested I make a public fan page, and at the same time we were coming up to the election of the 2017 election, so I started doing lots of kind of politicians and stuff, so it was just this kind of storm in a teacup, everything coming together, and me doing like 1 to 2 minute videos of politicians and everyone kind of following it, and then leading up to the election.
Can I just jump in here, because I've just had a flashback wash over me.
Oh, yes, love that.
And I think Stephen is really downplaying how much of an influence you have been on him, because I now remember Stephen putting the filters on, mimicking us as a friend group, recording them, putting them in our chats, doing the bald head ones. You did all of those.
Because Snapchat had that thing where you could go and find a photo of someone in your phone, and then it would just put that face on your face, and I thought it was I think I was watching your stuff at the time. I was like, oh, I can do this.
100% did.
Yeah,
it did not hit like Tom
Sainsbury. Satire is tough.
I really wish I'm going to go back in the chat. I reckon we can pull some of those up from the archives and really.
But I do remember I did catch on to you very early, and I remember looking at your follower count, and it was low, and I was like, fuck, this guy is nailing these. Like, this is going to explode. Did you notice, like, was there a pace to how quickly the followers started piling up?
Not that I was really aware of. I just remember my first video that got over 50 reactions to it, and like celebrating that, thinking this is amazing. And then when the next one got to 63, I was like, what, this is amazing. And then by the time the election came around, I was getting 2,000 to 3,000 kind of reactions from people. And all of it is so, is ephemeral the right word? I don't know. It's like it's all it is numbers on a screen. Like there's no kind of you don't know what this has no emotional impact on you. You can kind of get it psychologically. You're like, okay, but like to actually think about what that is is incomprehensible for me.
Yeah, and to see, like, this was what, 5-6 years ago, like to see where you have gone to with your career and how it's built, then it was obviously, it started to explode from that base. But in that base, as that's growing, you don't know what it means. You don't know what a couple of thousand extra likes mean. But what it does mean is that your brand is just sort of everywhere, right? It's just getting picked up.
What's really good, I think, is that people can kind of come and go. Like, obviously I've been doing it for so long now, and it's fine. Like, people like me for a year or something, and they're kind of following everything, and then they disappear, and sometimes they come back. Like, the good thing about social media is that people can choose to follow and enjoy and like and things. And so I don't feel bad about forcing myself on anyone. And people, it means that you've got like this kind of loyal fan base of people that really support you. So it's a really good way. I really like it.
Forgive me for this train of conversation, because I know that you get asked about it a lot, but it is so interesting, and it's a real key part of your journey, which is your Paula Bennett impersonations and Simon Bridges. It seems like when you did Paula and Simon, I'm not sure of the timeline here, that's when things really ramped up. Like, is that fair? Yeah,
so I did all the politicians. I tried to do all the politicians, but the one that always people kind of gravitated to and liked the most was just me and Paula. Me doing Paula was the one that really took off. And in the end, like around the week leading up, the week before and the week after the election, it was just Paula, Paula, Paula every day. Me doing Paula, poor Paula, the poor real Paula. And so it wasn't conscientious. I wasn't kind of thinking about it, conscious, sorry. but it just kind of happened. And then the Simon Bridges thing again, because I saw him the other day, and he's like, he was very charming and things, and he's like, where did the acrostic poem thing come from? And I can't really remember. I think I was just doing one for him. I was doing a video of him, and I thought, just as a funny idea, I'll just do an acrostic poem with Tauranga down the side, and then just words that fit with that had, like, all I remember is R was retirement village. I can't remember what the other ones were. And then everyone kind of reacted so well to that just became his thing. And it's the same with all the characters. Like, I've got this wine reviewer called Fiona who's really popular. She's still really popular now. And I just kind of did that video just once, just as a laugh, and I was kind of enjoying it. And then it just, I guess that's a good thing, is that you can kind of see what's kind of working with the audience and then just kind of go with it.
Is it that flippant? The ideas like, oh, this might work. This will be a good idea. Phone, record, send.
You got it. Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah, that
Wow.
flippant. That kind of, little thought put to it. And when you do try to kind of think about things, because there's no way of telling what will be popular and won't be popular. Like, I think as a general rule, Fiona will be popular, but I can do any other video and there seems to be no rhyme or reason to why something works and why it doesn't after all these years.
I think that's why it catches fire, the quickness you're able to turn these things around. Like, same day, there was the famous one where Simon Bridges called Paula Bennett Paula Benefit. And I think maybe that afternoon you had turned that into a satirical video which spoke to the whole ridiculousness of the situation.
Yes.
And like that is gold.
Yeah, that's what's so good about it, definitely.
It's a short amount of time. There was one interesting thread about Paula Bennett's office thinking that you had like an inside leak into
I know.
like what was going on. Was it a Taylor Swift thing?
That's
there?
right. Shake It. My Paula Bennett started using Taylor Swift's "Shake It Off" as her theme tune, just to deal with like all the highs and lows of campaigning. And then apparently Paul had on that very day done the same thing. And there was something about a new dress, and there was also something about a car that was happening within a few short days of each other. I think that we were just me and Paula were just the collective consciousness binding together in the great ether. But in reality, I don't know.
Is there danger is probably the wrong word, but people like, I guess it's good that you're bringing attention to politics and political issues through the stuff that you do, but you're left-leaning, aren't you?
Yeah.
And Paula being part of the National Party was kind of, did that create your own kind of little internal dilemma?
Yeah, really good question. It's kind of like all over the place because I didn't want to be overly mean. Like, I wanted to critique what people do, but not critique people. That's my wish, is not to critique people who they are, but like what they choose to do and choose to say is what you can kind of critique them on. And it was two things. Like, I was having left-leaning friends saying, "You're making her likable," which is a bad thing. And then I had my right-leaning friends, or the few that I have, are saying that why don't you take the piss more out of like Labour politicians and things too. So it was something to walk, a fine line to walk. Yeah.
But you also found yourself in this weird space where you were bringing politics to people who otherwise wouldn't be tuned in on it, right? People were learning about political storylines and themes through your characters.
That's right, yeah. People coming to me for a lot of responsibility.
I'd say the overwhelming majority of stuff you put out seems to be universally accepted as good and funny. They're sort of cheery things. But there are some, and I've heard you talk about it, where you know they're going to cause some division, but you decide to put them out there anyway. And I think one good example of that is when Jandals was run over.
Paddles?
Right? Paddles.
Who's Jandals?
I love Jandals.
Paddles. And
R.I.P.
And I think you said that you had like an hour moral debate with yourself, whether I'm going to go after this or not, and decided to, and then, you know, like you expected, it caused division.
Just for reference, Paddles was Jacinda Ardern's cat.
That was run over, yes.
Yeah, just in case anybody listening didn't know the Jandals Paddles reference.
Yeah, sorry about that. So yeah, can you talk about that conscious decision of putting stuff out there which you know is going to be divisive to your sort of overwhelmingly loving audience?
It's a good one, and probably 3/4 of the time I do post it, even though I know it's going to be controversial. I still kind of do it. And why do I do it? I don't because it's such a good idea, and it's so good it's worthy of being put out there, and it's kind of expected of me to make some kind of commentary on it. Another one was when all the bushfires had took out 1 billion animals in Australia, and I did a video of a woman being upset about all the animals dying while eating a chicken sandwich, just to kind of highlight the kind of irony of the situation, and that guy's got so much hatred as well. One I did take down, I was playing going to Ukraine. I was playing a soldier going to Ukraine, and that was universally hated, so I just kind of discreetly took that one off. And in terms of, but then like it's also, I've found is like you can be contentious, and then the next day comes around and you just put a new video, and most people forget.
Yeah.
So you can kind of and it's good to break eggs and make an omelette.
I mean, if you follow Ricky Gervais, as you tend to do, his stand-up is all about those putting contentious things out to the world. His Twitter account is all about that as well. So, yeah, I think there's a certain amount to be said for putting some, I don't know the right word, but putting some questionable stuff out there sometimes.
Yeah.
That does push people's thinking at the same time as being a commentary on what we consider outrageous or not.
I agree. I feel like Ricky is so comfortable doing it though, and I think like I'm such a people pleaser that it's just such a nightmare sometimes.
Do you get physically anxious when you're going to put something out there?
I do sometimes, yeah.
Right.
Or it's more, but sometimes, half the time I put it out there thinking nothing of it, and then I'm like, oh, that's controversial, and then it's too late. People are just putting angry faces beside it.
And what's your connection with the comments? Do you go digging in, see what people are writing, or you leave that?
I leave that, and I've also kind of ended any kind of, people can't direct message me either.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because it's 90%, 99, is that thing, 99% of them are really good, and then the 1% is the one that kind of gets to you. I tend to read the ones on Instagram, because I think the Instagram ones are like much less contentious, and it's just me doing stupid skits. And I do read the comments of that one just because I kind of like to engage those people, and they've usually got something funny to say. Just on this topic, I once did this video of this, and just to about in sync with Paula, I did this video of this costume designer in a small community theatre who was putting on Legally Blonde the musical. This is all fantasy. This was me making it up. And I was bitching about all the director and all the cast and stuff like that. And then I got all these messages because it was a woman who was exactly like this. And there's one of the characters, like one of the boys in the cast, he was clearly very flamboyant and closeted, and he'd lost a whole lot of weight in my storyline. And then I get a message from this boy who'd gone through exactly that journey. I swear I don't know anything about you. It was just a coincidence.
Is there, with some of the stuff that you do though, you must draw and lean on some real life examples.
100%, yeah.
Does your friend group sometimes think, I've got to be mindful of what I say here because this could be used in ammunition? 100%. And sometimes I'm like, I have to send messages because sometimes it just goes into my head and I don't even really think about where the source is. It's just such a good idea, and I put it on and my friends are like, hang on a second. That was said in the strictest of privacy, in the confidence. And then other times I've also had celebrities or, politicians and things say to me, oh, I have to be really quiet. I can't say anything around you. But then they just open up to me anyway.
And so as this profile is growing, I imagine that there's an avalanche of sponsors and commercial opportunities and people trying to get on those pages. But I've noticed there's never any ads, right? They're all just organic. It's just you've made a conscious decision just to leave it.
There's a few. I've done a few. Like I've done one for Corporate Traveller, which is, I kind of like, when I do that sponsorship stuff, I'm like, I want it to be as brief as quickly as possible, and like just drown it in other content. But I also want to like something like Corporate Traveller, which is just an organisation to help people organise their travel for them. I'm like, okay, that's a thing that I can kind of be on board with, and they're a small company, so I'm okay doing that. And then there was another one that Charlie's Juice also got me to do something, so I was kind of happy to do that.
The Graham Henry one. Yeah, we got sent that as well. We didn't do anything with it.
Yeah.
Oops.
Let it get out of
the
bag.
Corporate Traveller one, I just picked it as organic content. I didn't make the link at all.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
good. Also, like I just did one inadvertently because I'm addicted to Crust Kits, and so I just did one about Crust Kits. And everyone's like, "Are you getting paid to do this?" Because I was just so kind of positive about Crust Kits.
Yeah, the longevity of it too. Like it's still so prolific, right? Like is it one a day still? 5 years later? Like that's such an incredible output. Are you filming? Are you having like a day set aside where you do like 5 different ones? Or?
It's a good question, and ultimately I'd love it to be like that, but it's just like my baseline is quite lazy, and so like just doing one video exhausts me, and that's me done for the morning. So like sometimes I've done 2 videos, or occasionally I've done 3, but it's hard to do more.
We've spoken to Hayley Sproul, and she is notoriously busy. I had you pictured as
the Hayley Sproul version
of yourself, like that busy. Are you busy? Because you say you're notoriously lazy, but I refuse to believe that.
I think that I think lots of people, because my output and my work is so kind of everyone can kind of see it. So I think that people, and I'm kind of there, so people assume that I'm working behind the scenes. But there are lots of like Hayley's doing, radio every morning. I absolutely could not do that. I don't know how you guys. I don't know how the world does it. The media.
But the not monetizing it much, I guess, rewards itself by so many people are watching these things that other opportunities as the years went by came about because of it. Right?
You got it, yeah. Like I'd say, who knows, but maybe even 100% of all the work that I've got has been a result of having a profile or, even getting that audition just because people know who you are and what you're capable of.
Is it a weird moment when, and I'm thinking of I think it was the People's Choice Awards in 2017, where you're on stage dressed as Paula Bennett next to Jacinda Ardern, like talking to a crowd, where you're like, holy shit, like this is just something I've just created from my bedroom and now it's brought to life, and this is a kind of a weird situation.
And like at the time, the adrenaline was going. There were so many people backstage. Like I couldn't think about. I had to remember my lines. They were giving me cues and stuff. You're so kind of caught up in the adrenaline of it. So when it's happening, you're not even. I wasn't even present. And it's not till afterwards you're like, that is pretty crazy. And it is also pretty crazy when you do think it's just me on my couch, making this video, and some of these videos are getting 100,000, 200,000 views, and you're like, all these people are just privy to my living room, and I'm not even aware of it.
But do you become more comfortable with it? Like your stuff, man, the one of you dancing in the banana the other day had me fucking laughing. Just the silly little like dances. And I'm like, he's just put this up. I don't think, obviously you know how many people are watching it, but it's just... That
one's a good one because the kitchen was a tip. So I was like, look, the least you can do, Sainsbury, is clean the kitchen before you film. Yeah.
We had a musician Example on a couple of months ago. And he did a viral video with his girlfriend, and she was dancing around in her undies. And I think it's had like 40 million views. Like, I just uploaded it to YouTube. It had 40 million views. So it's
crazy,
it's a lot of eyeballs.
It's a lot of eyeballs. And the eyeballs peaked during COVID times. Has that seemed to have slowed down for you at all?
It's really interesting. I think what was COVID was it was sustained. Like every single video got an audience. Now, and I'm kind of okay with this, it's highs and lows. Like sometimes there are just times when people just aren't engaging with it for a couple of weeks or whatever, and then even an event will happen, a politician will say something stupid, I do a video, and then I just get a whole burst again. And I think that's good because there's definitely saturation point, and people get so bored of you if you're like always hitting that level. So I'm at peace with that.
And